squeeze a car between a car and a wall like that. You didn't have the room.
89, you're a moron.
DJ, we've got some after race stuff. Oh, they're wrecking each other. As we got Laskowski up in the wall. Oh, this is Tempers Flarin.
All right, guys, welcome into, I believe this is episode number 5 of Tempers Flarin. I'm Trey Whitehead. I'm here with Brock. He finished second in the Daytona race. And I'm here with Dylan McDonald and Ryan Sizemore. Got a short crew tonight because we had a little bit of a late recording due to a delay on our first release of the points standings. We'll kind of just dive right into these things. Just the little stages of what happened from Daytona. So obviously we'll go to the top 5. DJ ended up winning the race on a last lap pass on Brock. I finished 3rd. Patrick McQuaid got 4th. Zachary Woods finished 5th. Brock actually won the first stage. I won the second stage. Looks like we had 10 cautions. And I believe we ran 8 laps over regulation, 128 total laps. A couple of notable things. Obviously Whitehead Racing got the top 3 sweep. Zachary Woods got his first top 5 back in his first race back, so he's 1 for 1 on top 5s this season after returning. Mike Sabanovsky ran top 10 all race. I believe he got stage points in both stages and finished in the top 10 as well. And Thomas Fisher got his first top 10 in the Ghost Cup Series in his first points race. He was actually the highest finishing rookie and the only rookie to finish in the top 10. Brock, I'll start with you first. Based on like the racing, how did you feel it was from a competition standpoint? Do you feel it was really competitive, or was it just kind of nonchalant until the end?
Yeah, I felt like it was pretty competitive. Everybody was really close to each other and trying to make runs just about every lap, and we had a caution, and then it kind of calmed down, so the nonchalant came in. But yeah, towards the end, it got really competitive again, and there was 3 lines there for a while that were all working.
Dylan, I'll kind of transition to you. How did you feel about the stage racing? I know we kind of went away from it last year and brought it back this year. Do you think that helped or hurt the racing product?
I mean, depending on where you were at the track, I mean, I felt like it helped a lot. I mean, obviously there's points to be gained, but obviously it also takes you out of your rhythm. You get into a nice smooth rhythm, and all of a sudden you gotta slow down and get everybody call back up. So that could also be a big factor, and especially whenever we get to a different style track.
Yeah, and we'll get to one this Thursday at Vegas. Ryan, what about you? Based on your perspective of, you were involved in a couple of crashes, but you were also very aggressive in being able to get to the front with your teammate Thomas and didn't get the finish I know you were looking for, but it looked like you had a very good time racing. So just talk about your experience from last Thursday.
Well, Daytona. I don't know, I started decent and it just kind of went in with the game plan of I didn't want to drop to the back, but kind of ride around, not really push the subject much. And starting off, everything was pretty relaxed. I think everybody was kind of under the same impression, which was just a log laps, not anything too crazy. But yeah, for me personally, I did, come from the back a couple different times. But was able to get there. I was able to make good moves and make some passes that I needed to make. So I ended up there with my teammate and ran towards the front most of the race within the top 10 somewhere. It just didn't work out in the end for me. I think it went from like 6 to 26. But as for the race itself, though, I thought it was actually a pretty good race. I know where there was a lot of emotion. There's a lot of different drivers after the race, me included. But overall, as a racing product, I thought the race itself was actually pretty damn good.
We had a couple of really big crashes. There was 10 cautions, like I said. A lot of them were between two to 3 cars, but there was a couple of really big ones. And I know, Brock, I don't think you ended up having to use a faster pair. I could be wrong on that, but how was the wrecks and the mayhem? Was it really hard to avoid, or did you just have an easy way through?
Yeah, definitely. There was a time I lost the lead. I had to hit the apron on the tri-oval, and I don't know how it saved it, but it put me to the back. and I was kind of stuck in the middle of the pack at one point, and a big wreck happened right in front of me, and I think I barely missed Ruse trying to get through that wreck. So there was a couple of close calls, and if you weren't paying close enough attention, then you were going to be in it. They were hard to maneuver through unless you were in front of them or way behind them.
Yeah, I can agree with that. And yeah, looking at your incident with Roos, it was actually featured on Radioactive. So if you didn't see that, go back and visit the Ghost Racing Network YouTube and go check out the Radioactive from last Thursday. It's really cool to see from a driver's perspective the radio chatter and the different things that go on during the race. Dylan, I know you were involved in a couple of wrecks and you were involved in one late, which unfortunately I can't remember where you finished at, but I think it did hurt your results because it was one of the green white checkers, I think. But obviously, based on that, do you think there was points where there was too much aggressive driving and you just kind of got caught up in someone else's mess, or do you think it was a product of you being too aggressive?
I mean, it's Daytona. I mean, everybody coming to the final laps or whatever, going to make the moves to get wherever they needed to go. Like, yeah, I got involved in 2 big hits. I mean, try to push them 3 wide whenever I didn't really need to. I just had too much of a run. Didn't want to check everybody up behind me. So, aggressiveness on a level, I mean, I don't think anybody was too overly aggressive. I know I was trying not to be overly aggressive. So, I think it was just wrong place, wrong time for the majority of the wrecks.
Yeah, that's Daytona. That's kind of typical. Wrong place, wrong time. If you didn't cause the wreck, then 9 times out of 10 it was just because you were in the wrong place at the wrong time. And if you were in the right place at the right time, being at the back of the pack, being able to check out for those wrecks, and then it's pretty cool. But a lot of the times, you're in the middle of the pack, and then it just, like you said, you don't want to check people up behind you. You're 3 wide, and something happens, and you're just caught up in it. So luckily, we had the one fast repair that we could rely on, and I lost mine pretty early due to a stupid pit road mistake. But a lot of people had to use it for sure. There was a lot of big wrecks. Ryan, what about you on your views on the wrecks and stuff?
Me personally, like Dylan, I was involved in 2 significant ones. The first one being, I think, the end of stage 1. Actually, I was running the top side, pushing Thomas, and I don't know. It was a red car. I know that he kind of hopped up in line and kind of led the line for a bit, and then someone threw a block, and it watered us up. But I was able to actually get below it and almost made it through it, almost, and I just barely got clipped in the right rear and nosed it into the wall. Completely destroyed the car. It actually killed the engine there, and I was lucky enough to clutch it in and make it to my pit stall. But I had to use my quick repair there, and then the one on the last lap there, obviously. Wreck-wise, though, I mean, like you said, most of them were just, a couple cars. Not anything too crazy. But you did have your big ones. Aggression-wise, though, I didn't. There was a couple times you'll see some things that are questionable. But we also know who the aggressive drivers are too, right? So we know who's going to make certain moves. DJ, McDonald, Tate, like we know these guys are super aggressive. We know they're going to fill those holes if they're open, right? So a lot of us have just learned not to leave the holes open for them. They can't take them if they're not there. And so like I noticed with myself around a couple of them last night, it was a lot cleaner racing than it had been in the past. Just because there was, it's our job to not leave those holes open for them to take. Something that has a lot to do with it as well. But overall, I don't think it was too aggressive. I think it was a pretty great race.
Yeah, I think, in my opinion, it was one of the best Daytona races that this league has put on. This is the 4th season, so not a lot of history. I guess you could say it is in iRacing terms because that's 4 years is a long time ago, but not a lot of history at this track. Opening the season like that, as like a Daytona 500 type feel, and I think it was one of the best. Even though we had 10 cautions, most of them were 2 or 3 cars, and there was only a couple big ones, and another really good finish, which we'll get into. But I can definitely see what you were saying. I got frustrated, I think, in the middle of the pack, midway through the final stage, and I tried going 3 wide. I actually was able to put Ryan Gomes, I think that's his name. I was able to put him 3 wide by going to his outside because he left the hole. But then the guy in front of him, Chris Zofield, I tried doing the same thing to him, and he, was positioned so perfectly that I couldn't get the run up top, but I also couldn't go down below him and force it 3 wide middle where I'd cause a big wreck. So I think it does go back to what you were saying about not leaving the holes open for the people that, are aggressive, which I guess I could be considered aggressive at points on a super speedway, and Zofield and all them handled it pretty well. So getting into the finish, actually, DJ, once again, I don't know how he is able to do this. It doesn't matter what team, what car he drives. He's going to make a move out of turn 4 at Daytona and try to win the race, which he's done, I think, the last two years, including duels. I mean, he did it in the duel number 1, did it here in the big race. I mean, it's just unbelievable how he is always in the right position at the right time to be able to make that move. Unfortunately, he's driving for me this year, so kind of have some bias on that, but we'll kind of dive into the next topic. Who would be your most surprising performer, and who surprised you the most with their not so good performance? Brock, we'll start with you.
Let's see. So, my surprising, the worst performer that surprised me was probably Cash. Usually he's been pretty good on the super speedways about being up front and staying out of the chaos, but it looks like he just got caught up in some bad stuff there early on or there in the middle of the race and just couldn't get back up. I see he finished a lap down, so I don't know what wrecks he was caught up in, but I do know of one on the back stretch that set him back even more. But my surprise would have to be, I think, Josh Brownlee. I'm pretty sure he went a lap down or 2 laps down, and I think he had a couple of things on pit road that happened, and he still came out 11th. So a big surprise there.
Yeah, I can agree with you on Josh, because he did get wrecked on the backstretch going in turn 3. I think that actually did put him a lap down because he got wrecked pretty hard. And it was towards the end of stage 2, so it was later in the race. And then, he was able to battle back with a couple more cautions and get back on the lead lap and ultimately finished 11th after a couple green white checkers. Dylan, we'll just roll right into you. Your most surprising worst performer and your most surprising performer.
It would have to probably be a toss-up between Ricky and Lilith for being the worst performer. I mean, normally, Lily and Ricky, they're always up towards the front doing what they can do, and to see Lilith finish 6 laps down and have those computer issues there towards the end of the race, that kind of threw me for a loop there. But I would have to say Cody Tarrant. I mean, last season when I came in super late, he was kind of in the back, just wanted to mind his own business, and then all of a sudden here at Daytona this season finishes in the top 10. So can't wait to see what he does. Obviously, me being me, obviously I want to go out there and win every race, but to see guys that start and finish towards the back to get a top 10 the first race, it's actually pretty warming to see.
Yeah, I wouldn't say Cody surprises me, because racing in the duel last week, I mean, he made moves all race long. He was up front all race and finished 3rd in our duel. Like he made the right move and rode with me and DJ coming out of turn 4 and was able to go from, I think he was in 6th up to 3rd. So making a lot of moves. Yes, it is surprising, because I mean, not even just him, the Mike Sabanovsky Racing guys, like Sabanovsky got a top 10. They're improving so much. I think we doubted how much they've improved towards the end of last season and coming into this season. So I can't wait to get to Vegas and see them. Ryan, we'll kind of roll into you. Same situation.
So I think I agree with McDonald kind of on Lilith. She's just been an absolute powerhouse got here, especially on super speedways. I felt she's always at the front or moving to the front. Several times during the race, like chilling in the back. So that one kind of caught me off guard. I guess Zach Woods would be, and I don't mean it because I like Zach, and like we said in an earlier podcast, he's gotten really good recently, but just seeing him on track and how he was. I mean, he was the smooth criminal, like making the moves, and before I knew it, he was ahead of me several times. I didn't even see the pass. Don't know how it happened. But yeah, he really surprised me with just how good he was running. And I don't know where he finished. I have to look here.
P5.
P5. So I mean, it's a good finish. But yeah, that one was probably the one that I don't want to say fully surprised me, but definitely caught me off guard a little bit.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I can definitely see that because everybody has been saying like we talked about a couple times in previous episodes that Zach's put in the work. He hasn't been here for the last year, but that doesn't mean he's been sitting on his ass doing nothing. Like he's been out there putting in work in other leagues, and he's back to not mess around, and it'll be really cool to see how he transpires throughout the season. I think for me, the most surprising worst performer, I don't want to piggyback and make it 3 on Lilith because I definitely was going to say Lilith. But looking at it again, I know Joseph doesn't like Daytona, but he's still a guy that likes to be up front. It doesn't matter the track. He's usually pretty aggressive on his track position and stuff like that. And he just got caught up in so much stuff at Daytona. And I know it's a product of him not liking the track at all. But I mean, 28, 2 laps down, and he didn't have any network or anything issues like that. Just involved in wrecks. I think he was involved in one of the last green, white checkered wrecks there. So he'd be my most surprising worst performer. And then looking up in the top 10, Mike Savanovsky, a person that I don't think anybody had on their power rankings coming into this season, is proving everybody wrong. Like I was talking about, his team, Mike Savanovsky Racing as a whole, have shown up these last couple of weeks at Daytona, running up front, leading laps at points. I mean, they're not here to mess around. He's tied. We'll get into the point standings, but he's tied for first in the points. They're not far behind us in team standings. Like they're not messing around. So, we're gonna have to we're gonna find out a lot more about how good they are as the season goes on. Alrighty, so we're looking at the point standings after Daytona. We're not going to go through the whole thing. We'll go through about the top 10 and look at things after that. Mike Savanovsky, like I was just talking about, man. Tied for first with Brock at 57 points. I'm sitting third, 2 back. DJ is sitting 6th after his win, 6 back. Zach Woods is sitting 5th, 9 points back. Cody Tarrant is 6th, 10 points back, tied with Austin Wheeler, also 10 points back. Patrick McQuaid is 12 points back in 8th. Roos is 15 back in 9th. And Dylan, you are 17 back in 10th place. Just looking at the points, like obviously, DJ won the race, but I didn't see him finish top 10 in either stage. So obviously stage points are super important. Brock, how important on your list of priorities is it to get stage points as compared to a good finish in a race?
It's very important. Obviously, you see Mike Savanovsky. DJ won the race, but he didn't have the stage points to bump him up there above Mike. So obviously, Mike finished top 10 in both stages and got a decent finish. And you can see that the stage points are really important.
Yeah, I want to say he got 12 or 13 stage points in both, combined in both stages. I didn't get any stage points in the first stage, won the second stage, and I'm 2 points behind Mike, even after Mike finished, I believe he finished 6th. So he racked up the stage points, which is really, really cool to see him take advantage of that. Dylan, what about you? How high are stage points on your priority list compared to a good finish?
Well, they're top priority. I mean, if you remember season 1, I mean, we had Tate come in late in the season and look at all the stage points that he racked up. It was able to make the Final Four. So, I mean, stage points are more valuable to me than race wins. Obviously, race wins just help you kind of cement your way into the playoffs, but stage points are my go-to this season. I mean, obviously, first to finish, you must start to actually finish the race. So that's going to be my mindset all season long, just going for stage wins.
Yeah, I can agree with you on how Tate came in and just racked the points up right away. I think we'll also see a situation where, if a guy's got to miss a race, usually if the guy wins the race, it's 50 points. But then if they're racking up stage points on that, you're getting more into a hole by not making up those points that you could have made up during a race. So I know Brock and I are going to miss a race or two in the regular season, and I think we'll see that a lot. I think we'll see that points disadvantage come into play because not only are we missing out on the final standings points for the race, but we're missing out on those stage points that other people are going to take, from our place. So we'll have to see how that works out. Ryan, what about you? Where are stage points ranked on your priority list?
They were up there to begin with, but they're even higher now that we're looking at what they can really do. I mean, we're looking at between first and fourth. Stage points have made that big of a difference from one race. So they're higher on the list now. I think that's something that not only myself but my team is really going to focus on in the weeks coming forward is trying to maximize the stage points as well. We all want race wins, but at the end of the day, we're chasing a championship, and you've got to do what's going to be best for that in the long term.
Yeah, for sure. From my standpoint, looking at it, obviously Brock and I had success last year with getting wins and stuff, but we didn't have the stage points back then, and I still wasn't able to make the Final Four, and Brock, had a couple close calls getting through. So I definitely think, if DJ won the race the way that he did, if Mike Sabanovsky still came out on top like that, I think it's going to turn a lot of heads on, like what Ryan was saying, how important stage points actually are compared to what you thought they were. So it'll be really cool to see. Next, we're going to roll into the team standings. So we'll take a look at that. All right, so after Daytona, the team standings are Whitehead Racing. And I believe what they do is they take the top 3 guys from each team and average their points that they got. So they'll take the total of them and then divide that by 3, and then you'll get what you get at the end. So Whitehead Racing first with 57 points. Mike Sabanovsky Racing only 7 points behind after Daytona, which, like I said, you got to have 3 guys finish pretty good to have a good point stay in the team standings, and they really raced really well. Wow, that is a tongue twister. I'm not going to say that 3 times fast, but Hubka Motorsports sitting 16 points back in third. Smoky Mountain Motorsports, 17 points back in fourth, very close there. Titletown Racing, 22 points back in fifth. Ronnie Sizemore Racing, 26 points back in sixth. Midnight Motorsports, 35 points back in seventh. Trackside Motorsports, 46 points back in eighth. And GPG Esports, 49 points back in ninth. Just looking at this list, Brock, is there any team that has surprised you with their performance or lack thereof this season so far?
Yeah, definitely Mike Sabanovsky Racing. It surprised me a lot. They're only 7 points back from us. And last year they didn't have very good luck, so.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I think our answers are all going to be the exact same. Dylan, we'll just kind of roll into you. Who has surprised you?
Yeah, definitely going to be Mike Silby Racing. I mean, just look at what they did at Daytona. I can't wait to see what the rest of the season has in store.
Yeah, and Ryan, what about you? I imagine it's going to be the same answer.
Because we have to. I hate to piggyback, but sorry for sure. I mean, they're like you were saying earlier, they're really putting it down right now. Mike is, if the season goes anything like the last couple of weeks have, he's going to have a good season.
Yeah, for sure. And if I'm one not to pick Mike Sabanovsky Racing, I think I'd have to pick Ryan, your team. They ran really well all race, and then like I said, we were talking about you, and I think Brian Cloyd actually got caught up in a couple accidents, and he was running mid-pack. So a couple of things fall in line for you, and you're not sitting so far back. You're up here in third, fourth, fifth. So a little bit of a lack of performance so far, but we can't fault you because Dylan said it. It's only one word that needs to be said. It's Daytona. So I'd like to see you guys pick that up here in Vegas, and I don't think you guys are going to have any issues there. So I'd like to see you guys climb the board. All right, next we're going to look at the Rookie of the Year standings. All right, so for the Rookie of the Year battle, Austin Wheeler currently is ahead of Thomas Fisher. Both of them ran really well at Daytona. Austin, I believe, was caught up in a couple accidents. No fault of his own, I think. Josh Brownlee, who, we talked about having a comeback race, finishing 11th after going a lap down and being wrecked. He sits third. Ryan Gomes sits fourth. Robert Gillard sits fifth. Caleb Collins is sixth. Dustin Hall is seventh. Caleb Modzelewski, eighth. Blaze Richardson is ninth. And Brandon Zimmerman is 10th in the Rookie of the Year battle. Anybody that stands out to you, Brock?
No, obviously I expected Austin Wheeler to be up at the top, but nobody really else surprising me so far. Maybe Joshua Brownlee being up there and in third after the race that he had at Daytona, and like you said, the comeback race. And so I didn't expect to see him that high this week, but he ended up battling it out at Daytona and getting a good finish to be up there.
Yeah, for sure. And Dylan, who would stand out to you?
If they were able to show up to Daytona, I would say either Dustin Hall or Caleb Collins. Obviously, Caleb not being able to make it to Daytona this week kind of put a damper on his season start. And then obviously Dustin Hall being the crew chief for Briar LaPrade in the Coke Series, and then having Road to Pro every other week. So I mean, obviously, if Dustin and Caleb can make it each and every single week, obviously we're going to see a shake up in the points. But I mean, it can really go as much as it really can. I mean, I could see Ryan Gomes getting good finishes, same with Wheeler and Fisher. So you just got to stay consistent and keep their head down.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be a really tight battle, I think, if these guys keep driving the way that they are, because, you know, all of them have speed. Even Robert, I know Robert got caught up in a couple of things, but, you know, he showed speed racing mid-pack and you know, not super aggressive, kind of laid back. But Ryan, what about you? Who surprises you?
Brownlee, sure. I think I just wasn't expecting him to have as decent of a race as he did, and here he is third. You know, in the Rookie of the Year battle. So I think he was the biggest surprise for me.
Yeah, and I'm going to piggyback off of you as well. Josh Brownlee is definitely my surprise, you know, driver that is up there. I think we all expected Austin Wheeler and Thomas Fisher to already be duking it out for Rookie of the Year, and it looked like they already were on track. They were even involved in an incident together where Thomas was trying to give Austin a little push, and it just causes a little bit of a wreck. But I fully expect those guys to be duking it out all season. But yeah, it'd be pretty cool to see Joshua Brownlee enter that conversation, especially after the race that he had. So be a lot of fun. Alrighty, so obviously we have Las Vegas coming up this Thursday, which this episode will be releasing on Wednesday, so it'd be tomorrow night. Don't miss it, 9 p.m. Eastern time. The stream will start on the Ghost Racing Network YouTube channel, the same channel that this podcast will be posted on. Just kind of looking over the whole, you know, the race details. Is it a nighttime race? No, it's an afternoon race. I don't think it'll be long enough. I don't think he's got a time acceleration on it. So it looks like we do have one faster pair, 15 green-white checkers. I don't expect us to use that many, but it'll be pretty wild. But 175 laps in the blazing sunlight in Las Vegas. Do we have any predictions for Las Vegas? Brock, we'll start with you. Who do you think is going to have a really good race? Obviously, you want to pick yourself, somebody besides yourself.
Well, going based off of last year, I'm gonna have to say probably. Let me see. I'm gonna say McQuaid. McQuaid did really good last year. I think he ended up winning the race actually. So I expect him to be up there about all race, and if he can save his tires, and he can definitely get it done.
Yeah, for sure. McQuaid, actually, if you remember, he got that black flag as soon as the race started for, I can't remember if it was passing under yellow, and he didn't actually pass anybody, but he had to serve the black flag because of no race control. And, you know, battled his way back all race. We had a 120-something lap green flag run in that race, and it was pretty wild to see. I think we ran 160 laps, so it'd be really cool to see that happen again, but I don't know if it will. But yeah, Patrick battled through adversity all race long during that race and was able to come back on a late restart and win the race. Dylan, what about you? Who do you expect to have a really strong performance at Las Vegas?
Considering this man beat me for a championship over at MSRL last season on Friday nights, I'm going to have to go with Zach Woods. He put in the time and effort. I helped coach him a little bit, get him better with saving tire and getting a little bit faster. And I would have to say Zach Woods probably gets the win at Las Vegas. He knows how to roll the bottom very well. He's like another Harvick, so kind of watch out for that number 60 machine next week.
Yeah, like we were just talking about, it'd be really cool to see Zach, you know, break through and get that first win, especially here at Las Vegas, which is a really fun track, honestly, if we have to be honest. And this car, I don't know why, but this track fits it really well. So it'll be really cool to see. Ryan, what about you? Who do you expect to have a really solid performance?
I'm gonna go with Hopka. doing as well as he did last season. I think that he's got redemption on his mind, if you say so. That'll be my pick. I think Hupka comes back this year and comes a little bit stronger and gets the win.
Yeah, that if the boss man got the win, I think we'd have the week off on Discord for a little bit. He'd be partying too much. So, be pretty cool to see Hupka. You know, he was in contention last year, and him and Patrick actually battled out for the win. So, be really cool to see that. I think for me, it's probably a coin flip. Now, obviously, Dylan, I don't remember. Did you race in this race last year, the Vegas race?
No, I came in at Michigan last season.
That's right. Okay, so obviously haven't raced with you here yet. There's a couple other guys. Yeah, it was. I think that was Gen 6, wasn't it? Yeah. So these drive a little bit different, but I know how fast you are. I would say it's a toss-up between the three of McQuaid, you, McDonald, or Brock. I expect both of you, or all three of you, to have a really solid run. I can't really pick a winner out of that. And I think one other driver, I'm not just picking everybody in the podcast, I promise, but Ryan, you ran really well at Vegas last year, and I don't expect it to be any different this year. I think you're actually going to improve, and you could get a solid top 5 or possibly even break through and get your win as well. So any of those 4 people, I think, could get it done at the track. So hopefully, I give myself a 25% shot to get it right. So it'd be pretty cool. So TJ sent me the speedway rating for the guys last year who ran, I believe it was more than 3 races. Obviously some of these guys don't race in here anymore, but looking at the driver ratings, Patrick McQuaid is the highest of the drivers that are currently active. Lilith is the second highest, so hopefully she can bounce back next year. Brock here the third highest, Bruce is fourth, and TJ himself is 5th highest out of the active drivers. So going off what TJ sent me, he does think that at Vegas, the true tellings of the season will come out. The first looks of who is going to be aggressive, conservative, and who's looking for stage points as opposed to a win. And TJ, his predictions are Lilith Peters, Brock, Bruce, and Mike Sabanovsky. He thinks Sabanovsky is going to have a really solid race. He thinks any of those 4 are going to dictate the pace of the race and could eventually get it done. So those are his predictions. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to make it. So, alrighty, guys. So that was pretty much it. Unfortunately, a couple of guys weren't able to make it with us. Like I said, TJ, Austin Wheeler was out. Cash wanted to be here. I know we were talking to him just before we started, but something must have came up and he wasn't able to make it. So I appreciate you guys for being here. It was a little bit of a shorter podcast, and just the 4 of us made it feel a little bit more intimate. And, we talked a little bit more about more some detailed things and stuff. So it was a lot of fun. Dylan, I appreciate you coming on I think this is your first time, yes or no? Yeah. So you're always welcome to come back. I always tell people that, whenever they want to come in, just message me and let me know. I've got Metler messaging me every week when the podcast is. So he's starting to become a regular, and same with Wheeler, and Ryan's here every week. So like I said, appreciate you guys for coming on. And Brock, I'll start with you. If you just want to say any closing regards, if you want to thank anybody for if you have any sponsor plugs, you can plug them now.
Yeah, I don't get paid to shut off the sponsor on my car, so I'm good there.
Dylan, what about you? Do you have anybody to thank or any just closing regards at all coming up to the race on Thursday?
Yeah, it's just thanks for having me on. Give a big shout out to Mardone PC. So if anybody out there looking for any wheels or pedals, PC components, or anything like that, look up Mardone PC, hit up Brian Haynes, and get you a nice little discount. I know there's some discount codes going on out there. I don't have any personally, but if you guys are looking for anything like that, go to mardonepc.com.
I'll have you send that to me after this, and we'll get it put down in the description so people can go check it out. Ryan, what about you?
Yes, thank you for having me on weekly. I missed last week's, but I enjoy these. Really looking forward to how the season's going to play out and how these podcasts are going to go. I think that the farther we get in the season, the more storylines we have. The deeper these conversations are going to get. As for a shout out, go ahead and put a plug to TJ Hanley and TH Designs. Anyone needing a good paint, fire suit, car, whatever, hit him up on Facebook, TH Designs. Get you looking good.
Yeah, TJ actually does a lot, and people that know me, I paint my own cars, but TJ helped me just with the car that I haven't revealed yet, that I will reveal tomorrow. It's based on something that was in the broadcast last week. It'll be pretty funny and cool at the same time. But yeah, TJ's always a lot of help in doing whatever you need to get done. So we'll link his Facebook in the description as well. And I thank you guys for watching episode 5 of Tempers Flarin, and we'll see you tomorrow night for the race at Vegas, and see you next week as well. And we'll talk about what happens. So hopefully some spicy stuff happens, and we'll get to talk about a lot more stuff. So thank you guys.